Love it. Well, thank you so much for the introduction. It was wonderful. Anyone who can, I would love it if you could turn a camera on. I always like to be able to see who I'm talking to. And that's part of being a public speaker, I think, is we want to make that human to human connection. So if you are available to turn the camera on, I would love to see you. But I understand if you cannot. I have heard many stories from my many friends in Africa about the troubles that you guys run into when it comes to trying to use Zoom. So I really appreciate you being here. As you know, our good friend said, my name is Sarah Nicole Nadler. I am an entrepreneur and a business owner here in the United States of America. But it wasn't always that way. 3 years ago, I was homeless here in the US. I had no apartment. I had no home. I was living and sleeping in the back of a truck with my husband. And in the last 3 years, I have built a business and built a business online that has allowed me to travel the world, take vacations, buy my own home. You know, I've really turned my entire life around in the course of 3 years. And I've never visited Africa, but I have many, many friends there. And I have so much respect and love for the many things that the Volunteers for Human Rights have done in Africa. And I'm so excited to be able to share my story with you guys and hopefully have you walk away today with some tips and a renewed enthusiasm for entrepreneurship in Africa, because I truly, truly believe that it is entrepreneurs and artists who are going to change Africa and bring it up to the level it could be living in. I want you guys to have human rights be the biggest first thought of everything you do. Back in 2018, when I was living in a truck, I had this dream and I made this decision that I was going to not only change my own life, but also give back and start helping others and stop thinking so much of myself. And I built over the course of 1 year a huge empire of human rights movement in Africa and India, across all of the continent, as well as here at home. So I know the power of entrepreneurism, and I wanted to share a few tips with you guys today. The first thing I want to bring up is this concept of what we call noblesse oblige. Noblesse oblige is a French term, and it means servant leadership. Okay, what is servant leadership? Servant leadership is the concept that because I'm your leader, because I am someone that others look up to, my responsibility is higher. So the more privilege you have, the more responsibility you have, the more of a following you have, the more people who depend on you, the more people who believe in you, the more responsibility you have to turn around and give back to the community that has supported you. And that's honestly why I'm really happy to be here today, because the love and friendship I have gotten from the people of Africa has been amazing over the last 3 years. And I'm really excited to give back to you. So that's the first concept I want you to walk away with today, is this concept of, if I want to become a leader, if I want to step up in my community and become wealthy or build a business or build a movement, I need to take equal responsibility for the level of leadership that I want to acquire, okay? Now, there's a book called The Art of War. The Art of War was written by Sun Tzu, who was a Chinese general. Oh, would you mind muting yourselves, guys, so we don't have that background noise? There we go. So Sun Tzu was a Chinese general thousands of years ago. This book was written before the birth of Christ. Very, very old book. And in that book, Sun Tzu, who was a brilliant Chinese leader, taught 3 things that a foolish leader will do that destroys his own army from within. And I love these 3 points. I want to share them with you guys today. There are 3 ways, according to Sun Tzu, 3 ways a leader can sow misfortune and discontent in his own army. Number 1, by giving orders they cannot obey. If you give your team, if you give your business employees, if you give your volunteers orders that they can't possibly carry out for whatever reason, you are causing and leading your team to failure. You're leading your business to failure. You're leading your volunteers to failure. So as leaders, we always have to make sure before we issue an order, is this an order that the person in front of me is capable of carrying out? Do they have the fortitude? Do they have the courage? Do they have the tools that they need? Giving orders only that others can actually obey. Number two, the second vice or the second failure that we can have as a leader is being ignorant of the conditions of your army. If you aren't actually on the grounds, rolling up your sleeves, getting your own hands dirty, talking to your volunteers, helping them, if you're a business owner, if you're not actually working with your employees and seeing the faces and the workspaces of your employees on a regular basis, you will lack the information you need to make smart business decisions, to make decisions about the direction you're going to take your army if you don't actually know what's happening on the ground. Number three, the third mistake that foolish leaders make is to employ officers of your army without ensuring their competence. This means don't elect someone to be your right-hand man or your right-hand woman. Don't elect someone to be a leader in your army unless you're sure that they're competent. Don't choose the person just because they're your brother or your sister. Don't choose them out of favoritism because you like them. Choose them because they are competent leaders, and that will allow your empire to grow and your business to grow or your volunteer group to grow and actually bring about a situation where your team trusts you as a leader because they can see that you would never put them in the hands of someone who hadn't earned it. So these are the tips that I have for you guys today on entrepreneurship in Africa. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for having me speak. I really appreciate it. Does anyone have any questions about what I talked about before we go on? I have more to share, but I want your feedback. Give me some questions. Excellent. Thank you so much. And Aya, I'm very glad to hear that you were inspired by my story. I really appreciate that. Does anyone have any questions for me about business, about entrepreneurism? Feel free to put them in the chat if you want, or I'll continue. All right. Yeah, please. No. Remember, when I started my business, I was so broke that I couldn't even live anywhere but the back of my own truck. I had no money. You do need three things, the three Ds, I call them. You need a dream, and it has to be a big dream. You have to have the drive to try, right? That means courage inside, right? And you have to have determination because you will hit a wall and you will hit another wall and you will hit another wall again. You'll hit barrier after barrier, lack of money, lack of time. Your wife gets sick, your child needs food. There will always be other demands on your time and things that are drawing you down. And if you don't have the determination to think brilliantly and actually find a solution to these barriers, you will not succeed. So it's the three Ds that are important. Money is simply energy. If I lost everything today and had no money again, I could walk out on the street and offer my services to someone and make money that day. That's the power of entrepreneurism. The way you do it is A, have that determination, have that drive and that courage to try, right? And then two, learn sales. Because if you learn the skill set of sales, you will never lack money. You will always be able to just go find another human being, discover what need they have that you can fill, right? I mean, sure, I'm not an expert on mowing lawns. I'm not an expert on repairing houses or cleaning. I'm not an expert on those things, but if I was desperate enough and I had a dream and I was determined enough, I would just start knocking on doors and say, hi, can I clean your house? Like, you know, if you have that inner fortitude, you don't need money to start a business. Some businesses do require money, so there's some actions you'd have to take to start that one, right? But if you're talking about just like, how do I start a business, any business, you don't need money. You need determination, a big dream, and enough drive to get started. Does that help? Excellent. Good. Okay. Perfect. No problem. Good. I want to share one more thing with you guys, and then I'm going to end off because I know I'm going to run over time here. So, the rule of sevens in leadership. This is another quote from that book I mentioned called The Art of War. He says, the control of a large force is the same principle as the control of a few. It is merely a question of dividing up their numbers. So as a leader, it's important for you to know that you cannot be the leader for everybody. The moment your team starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you have a lot of employees or a lot of volunteers underneath you, you need to start implementing middle managers, people who will report to you while everybody else reports to them. That is how you grow. That's how you grow a volunteer group. This is how you grow a team, a business, anything else. It's the same principle, right? That leader has to have the same leadership qualities, but now they're reporting to you and you only have 7 direct juniors. This is so important. So thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. I hope these tips end up helping you guys really succeed in life. All right. Thank you so much, Pascal, for the invitation. And thank you to our hosts for today.